Hello, Mariner fans. This is week 3 of USMASports.com's newest feature, Meet the Staff Monday. I'm Joe Guster, Assistant AD for Communications. We're joined today by Assistant Football Coach, the Offensive Coordinator, Offensive Line Coach, and also my backup spotter for stats up in the press box during men's lacrosse games, Jameson Croall. Coach Croall, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Joe, and I think the latter is probably my most important duty here.
Exactly.
Brown balls.
I guess why don't we begin with having you tell us what brought you to Kings Point? You're now in your 9th year at the academy. How'd you get here? Feel free to give any shout outs to those who helped you along the way.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of shout outs. I'll try to get all the important ones in. I played at Springfield College, who's now in our conference. At the time, we were not in the conference. We were in the Empire 8 when I was at Springfield. Ran triple option. I moved to offensive line in the latter half of my playing career. So played in the triple option. Was planning on teaching and coaching probably at the high school level. Hadn't really given it much thought besides I was playing ball and going to class and studying physical education. Coach Sarasulo, who's now the head coach, was the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach, said, "Would you ever want to coach college?" I said, "Didn't know that was an option." So they sent me up to Maine Maritime, where I had the opportunity as a first-year coach the entire offensive line. We had a tremendous amount of success. We won the conference, and back then it was the NEFC. Beat Curry College in the conference championship game. Played Montclair State in the NCAA tournament. Lot of awesome offensive stats. We had a ton of success there, and it was a really fun and great learning experience up in Castine. Obviously a maritime school, so a little bit of a foreshadow to the future. Went back to Springfield and GA'd for 2 seasons and worked towards my master's degree, which I'm still working towards at the moment, but it looks like the finish line is near. And we fortunately, we played Kings Point, and they were transitioning into triple option, and kind of right place, right time. Really fortunate. Got a chance to interview for Coach Toop, obviously, and Coach Bravada, who was the former head coach and winningest head coach in program history, and did a good enough job of fooling them at 24 years old and telling them I was or showing them that I was prepared for the job. So here I am, 9 years later.
Nice, good stuff. Mm-hmm. You mentioned playing and coaching at Springfield. Obviously, they run the same system as us, the triple option. Tell us more about your playing days, and looking back, how did being a Division III student athlete help better prepare you now for coaching on this level?
So I mean, my playing days, there's not a whole lot to talk about. I wasn't that talented a player. I think I would be described as a ham and egger, which is not that exciting a breakfast, but if you get it every day, it'll get the job done. So, good attitude, good work ethic, great guy to have in the locker room, smart, tough, all those kinds of things, but probably not the most talented. But my experience, being a college athlete, I think at the Division III level or at any level, it really teaches you balance. It really teaches you how to manage your time. It really teaches you, what work ethic can provide you moving forward. As a coach at this level and as a coach at this academy where, these kids have a million different things going on, I think I can relate. And I think, my work ethic and having to, wear a lot of different hats, whether it's, with some of the secondary duties, like you said, spotting for lacrosse games, I think it lets you take those things in stride and adjust. And, it's provided me a tremendous background. And obviously that's why I'm still in it. So.
And how did you feel the first time you coached against Springfield?
Tough question to ask. I mean, now that I know the result. So it was nervous, exciting. My family was there tailgating with all my college buddies. I was fortunate enough that they sat behind me to support me. They probably saw me at one of my worst. They ended up putting it on us pretty good. It was homecoming up there. So there was a lot of kids that I had coached from the last 2 years that were there. It was not a great experience, but it was certainly a polarizing one, I guess. I think that's where we started to realize we need to change some things and we need to start to move forward and get the program to where it needed to be and where it could be, frankly. And hopefully we've come close to that, and we continue to do that as we move forward.
Yeah, definitely. Our results against them have been pretty good recently, so
Yeah.
come a long way.
Yes, sir.
I guess what next is what have you learned from Coach Toop throughout your time here? You're the longest tenured assistant coach on staff. You've seen the team really turn it around the past decade. Talk about his leadership throughout. I guess you can call this hot streak you've been on the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think I've been here, like you said, almost a decade, and which is crazy to think. I mean, time goes pretty quick. But there's a lot of things I've learned. I think the most valuable thing that I learn and I continue to learn from him is just his experience as an alum. He really knows how to push the kids' buttons, whether it's giving kids some slack, but really it's when to push those kids and not being too easy on them at times. Because I think from a traditional college experience, my initial thing is that, hey, we got good kids. They wear a uniform every day. They follow an honor code. I tend to cut them slack, naturally, coming from the educational, sleep until 10 a.m. on some days and go, maybe going to one or two classes. You have a tendency, I think, from that mindset to cut these kids some slack. And Coach, I think, does a really good job of knowing when those kids still need to be pushed. Because they're being easy on themselves, or they're trying to be easy on themselves. So that's really, I think, where I get the most value. But a million other things. It's tough to say. As far as the hot streak's concerned, I think what's helped turn it around is we're all on the same page, following Coach Toop's lead from a standpoint of we want things done the right way in the program. And a quick little kind of anecdote about what that is when I was first here, I was staying after practice, running kids through the PRT that didn't pass it, and they'd sit there and complain, why do I have to do this? I'm an offensive lineman. I'll pass the PRT after football season and blah, blah, blah. When now we've built the mindset and we've built the philosophy of the offense around kind of what we need to do here as far as the regiment. And now if a kid fails, he's as mad at himself as we are at him, and frankly, the rest of the kids on the team are disappointed in him for failing that stuff. So we're doing things the right way, not just on the practice field. I think we're doing it the right way in the classroom and in the regiment. And we might have some mix-ups, but we're going to make sure that that's the standard moving forward. So
good. Yeah, and talk a little bit about more about the team. Winning seasons each of the last 4 years, played in and won 2 bowl games. A couple of big wins over Coast Guard on ESPN. How exciting has it been for you and the other coaches as well as the student athletes?
It's been incredible. It's a heck of a lot more fun having winning seasons, getting some postseason games, and being fortunate enough to win those. The ESPN stuff with Coast Guard has been awesome. Matt Chatham has done a great job. I grew up watching him be a Patriot. I'm a Mass guy. So having those guys call the game, I think they do a tremendous job. I think the coverage is great. Having those kids having that record of their performance against their biggest rival is a really cool experience. Obviously, winning those games or winning more than we haven't lost has been huge. That game is really important to the alums. It's really important to us. It's really important to the kids, and I think it's really important to the academy. Everybody's there, and it's a really awesome environment for the Division III level. I know there's some big rivalry games in Division III, but I'd put ours up against just about anyone.
Nice. And talk about the camaraderie with the other coaches as well. Obviously Coach Kick's been on the staff for a couple of years now, and you brought in 2 new full-timers and a part-timer this year. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, losing Maddie and some of the other guys from the past, is tough. Those guys were great people, but they moved on to some bigger and better things. Getting Coach Riker back, who was here my first year, was huge. I think he's a tremendous football coach. I think he's a tremendous recruiter. I think he's a great person. We get along really well. Coach Reisig, I didn't know well, but was here again for a year or a year and a half, and he's been a tremendous addition. I think we've all gotten along really well in the first 2 months here, and I don't see that changing. I think we have a good competitive nature, between offense and defense. it's nice to get some different guys in, just from a standpoint of so Coach Kick doesn't kill me. We probably have more of a a working marriage than anything. We bicker at each other. We spend a lot of time with each other.
Yeah. Right.
So it's nice to get to break that up, and he can, some other guys can be busting my chops, and he can get some pressure off of them. So it's been great.
Good. Tell us about your recruiting efforts. What regions you recruit out of. How's it been going out and finding the future Mariners, meeting with the families, obviously before coronavirus, and finding the right fit for the academy?
Yeah, this place for me is really easy to recruit, and probably a huge reason why I have been here for 9 years is I believe when I go out on the road recruiting, I believe what I'm saying. I tell people it's the best deal in America. And it sounds like the biggest used car salesman pitch, but it's really, I think, all of us involved in it, I think, agree. If we could all rewind and go back, we'd probably all choose to come here and have no debt and make $100,000 and set ourselves up for life, by sacrificing that traditional college experience. But I've been able to recruit the Southeast primarily. I've done a bunch of, other states as well in my time, but now I'm focused primarily from Maryland down south, all the way over to Louisiana and Alabama. It's a really easy sales pitch. It's this place. Nobody ever regrets coming here, and the only negative is that it's sometimes it's a different experience.
Yeah.
There's not many people making a decision to come to a federal service academy. So besides that, it's really easy. You know?
Definitely a unique place, but the options are great. So,
incredible.
Also, aside from coaching, what other duties do you perform for the department? What classes do you teach, and do you serve on any other committees?
So again, like we talked about, you wear a lot of hats at the Division III level across the board, and this place especially. We're faculty, so we're involved in teaching. We're involved in faculty forum. I currently teach self-defense with Coach Bruno, the assistant wrestling coach. We've team taught that together for a long time now, and work really well together. I also assist in first aid and med care provider courses, which I take a back seat and help with the practical aspects with the athletic trainers. I'm in charge of the weight room. I was fortunate enough to be able to kind of be in charge of the entire remodel and manage that whole project. We spent a lot of money and we're able to completely remodel the weight room, and I think we did a pretty good job, minus a couple hiccups. But besides that, it turned out pretty good, and I think the kids are pretty pleased with it. And then on top of that, I'm on a few committees, but currently chairing the curriculum committee, which is a tremendous experience, and I'm just kind of diving into that now. So we'll see how it goes.
Nice. So what's been your favorite part working at Kings Point?
Yeah, it's an easy answer. It's the midshipmen. We have great kids, and there's too many to name, as far as kids that have impacted me positively. These kids probably make me better than I make them, and at other places that's not the case. It really forces you. These kids are so accountable for their actions. They, if they mess up, they take accountability right away. I can tell you when I was 18 to 22, I was probably not that way, So I've learned a lot from these guys, and I just enjoy being around them. And that's, there's some red tape being with the federal government and things like that, and the midshipmen make it all worth it. So.
Yeah, they're definitely different type of kids. You can tell they're going to be great leaders. When I get out of here.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about yourself. What are some of your hobbies, passions? What other things do you like to do when you're not coaching?
I like watching sport. I like watching most sports. I'm a PE guy at heart, so I respect kind of every sport. It's nice to watch things besides football, but I love football at heart. I'm a Boston sports fan, so it's Patriots, Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics. So I've been pretty fortunate in that regard. So I've seen a lot of championships. I got a 500-page book on the Patriots dynasty that I just came in that I got to read. But like, I don't know. I think I'm a pretty fun guy. I like to have a good time, go to the beach, golf, whatever I can do to entertain myself and spend some time with good people.
Yeah, you're always setting up the activities around the department too.
I love it. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love that. Whether it's the softball, we haven't been able to do softball this year, but we got the cornhole in earlier on in the year, and hopefully get to set something else up.
Fingers crossed. Nice. So staying with that theme, in no particular order, what are your personal top 3 favorite football movies?
Top 3 football movies.
Yeah.
Number one, like rewatchable is Remember the Titans to me. It came out when I was like, I don't know, middle school or early high school. So it's a little cheesy, but Denzel Crush. The message is great. Really fun. You're putting me on the spot here, so that's tough. Rudy's in there. Rudy's such a typical answer. And then it's got to be one like The Replacement. It's got to be The Replacement. Like, just a fun movie. It's not too deep. Not too, you're not tearing up like Rudy at or Remember the Titans when Gary Bertier gets hit by a it's a fun, lighthearted movie. Replacements is probably in there. So
definitely.
I'm gonna think of one after this, and I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna be calling you to refilm.
Now, aside from those movies, what's your favorite movie of all time? It could be sports. It could be anything.
Okay, all time. It's tough. Like there's a lot of movies I like. The Great Outdoors is usually my answer to that. It's a very John Candy, Dan Aykroyd, pretty cheesy, lighthearted comedy. I don't know why, I just like it. It's a good. I could watch it 100 times. I could throw it on and go to bed. I could sit there and hang out and watch it and laugh. Great movie.
And last one, what was one thing you binge watched during quarantine?
Unfortunately, we binge watched a lot. That's tough.
Name them all then.
What's that?
Name them all then.
I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it over quarantine. Was that part of the question? Game of Thrones is the show.
Yeah,
right. Like Game of Thrones. We've had that discussion, I think, before lacrosse games. Like, Game of Thrones is the show. So if you haven't watched it, you got to watch it. I just got Coach Rice into Game of Thrones. He's on season 4, so he just saw the Red Wedding. It's a big, that
was a big
thing.
Yeah, mine was I watched Ozark over quarantine.
Ozark's great. Ozark's great as well. That's a good one.
All right, that's it. Mariner fans, now you know more about assistant football coach Jameson Croall. Coach, thanks a lot for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Joe. It was fun.
Yep. All righty.